Welcome to Rem and Sam. We are both back,
We're back.
both here for the episode. First of all, taking a little second to thank Rem for holding it down. Rem does so much work on the back end that y'all will never see. Hours of editing, hours of posting, creating graphics, everything. So shout out to Rem for holding it down and doing the recording as well on himself. I don't know, Rem. I mean, it's like two more missed episodes away from being Rem and Rem at this point. Like, I don't know. We'll have to see when you need to take some load management.
Do I need to? Yeah.
Time.
Do I need to
Here, so you know.
dip off for a weekend, take a trip? Is Sam telling me I need to take a
I
trip?
don't know. I'm telling you, hey, you got this PTO, man, and it doesn't roll over. All right, so you gotta use it.
The boss is saying I have to
use it or lose it. But we will be having a guest on. Yes, we are not just ignoring the biggest sports event going on right now.
Live.
Women's basketball Final Four ongoing, and we'll have a guest, our expert from, was it? No, it was the week before last. Alli will be returning to help us break down the games right now. We do have South Carolina playing North Carolina State, and I believe South Carolina is in the lead. Rem, what's the score right now? I know he's live watching it right now.
I looked away from the score, and it's in commercial right now, so I don't have a score update. But South Carolina, I believe, was up by 20 plus. They're pulling away. It's into the fourth right now.
67 to 45.
Is it? Oh, so yeah, 20 plus. Is it fourth quarter?
Yeah, 6 minutes, about 7 minutes left.
So the countdown to Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark has officially started. It looked, there was in the moment in the first half, it looked feisty for a little bit. North Carolina State was trying to keep in there, and then Cardoso rolled an ankle or hit her knee or something, but ended up limping off the court at the end of the first half. But South Carolina, Dawn Staley rallies the troops. They're back. They'll be 37-0. They look terrifying.
That's crazy. 37 straight wins. That's insane. And shout out to Dawn Staley, Coach Dawn Staley, what she's doing with that team. It's gonna be interesting. But if you're on the other side, we're gonna talk about it more with Alli, but it will be interesting, to put up there maybe, some of the greatest runs, and UConn isn't what they are. But to go through LSU, UConn, and South Carolina to bring a national championship to Iowa, and all joking aside, like Iowa, we have our bright moments here and there, but to win a national championship is not something that happens often in the Hawkeye State. So to do that at Iowa, it would be insane. And going through the Blue Bloods, even if maybe UConn isn't at their prime, but LSU and South Carolina definitely are rolling.
Because I don't think a lot of people understand where the state is athletically, just from a competitive standpoint and all this stuff, because there are other states that don't have professional sports that do say that, college football or college sports are professional sports. But if you're an Alabama fan or an Auburn fan, Auburn, both of those schools have won national titles in the last 10 years. Or at least, Alabama obviously with Saban, but Auburn can at least talk themselves into being a competitive there are other schools that are competing. Iowa just has a good time. Like, that's basically what the team has been for the run. It's been a good time. It's been a fun watch. It's been a good thing on the weekends. So the fact that there's the fact that they can actually win the national title, and she has broken through, and she's homegrown as well too. She's from the state. So, again, just historically, the state hasn't necessarily had that, quote unquote generational talent. And we're not just talking about her leading the team to the national title, which is special as well too. Like, Iowa, this is a truly transcendent player from the state, in the state, and doing a special thing with a chance to, like we said, win the national title. That game against UConn is coming up against here soon. So I know we'll be watching that throughout, and by the time that this drops, that'll be over. So it'll be, I don't know, how we'll be reacting to it. But just from, they're saying the state, the fanfare, just emotionally, I'm not even an Iowa fan, and I'm invested. I think it's again, a huge win for the state and everybody involved. It's just incredible to have, like I was saying, that homegrown star that's not just a star, but truly generational talent.
Yeah, no, and that the stats that Caitlin Clark is putting up, is just astronomical. But we'll talk more about that with Allie, who's coming
Yep.
up in a
She's
couple
the
of
expert.
minutes. But real quick before she joins, there is also something rocking the football world.
Mm.
Stefon Diggs, after enough cryptic tweets, is finally traded over to Houston to the second, maybe third best quarterback in the AFC, CJ Stroud, teaming up. The Bills are sending 4 Diggs. They will get a 2025 second rounder, while also sending 2 picks along with Diggs, sixth
Yeah.
rounder, fifth rounder. And I mean, when you see that kind of exchange, it's pretty clear, I was listening, earlier, they're going to take 30 mil in dead cap. They just need to get Diggs out. It was not
Mm.
a good situation from what we're seeing, on the outside, for them to want to eat that cost. And I think he was going to count, I think they were saying 27 million against the cap. So it was only like 3 million more, honestly. But
Like
I
if he
mean,
stays
Rem,
versus if they cut him.
yeah. Yeah, well, if he
Mm.
stays versus if they trade
Or
him,
trade
because
him. Yeah,
he's
yeah,
still
for
30.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Rem, I mean, I guess looking at this trade, like, where do the Bills go on from here? Because I'm pretty sure their number one wide receiver right now is Curtis Samuel.
Is he on the Bills? I didn't even know he was on the Bills. They have Shakir
I
though.
think I
I
saw
kind of like Shakir.
potential. Yeah, yeah.
Do they have another rookie? Oh, they have the tight end Dawson Knox. So
Oh,
maybe
Dawson Knox.
who knows? Do they go like is Dawson Knox like a pseudo? I guess not Travis Kelce. Mark Andrews. Is he Mark Andrews? Can he be a number one? A
He's
pseudo number one
decent.
guy? Get Shakir, draft a
I
second
mean,
round guy.
do you think this is gonna like how do you think this is gonna happen again with Diggs? Like just a new team, same situation? Because he's in his last year of his contract. I think they got rid of his other 3 years, so he is in his last year, and it looks like if he has another good year, he'll be in line for a huge take home check.
I think that is the interesting part. I think, like you were mentioning earlier too, with the quarterbacks, where he has always had a history of being unhappy with these guys. And, going back a ways too, it's not like you can always, like, he's had Kirk Cousins there. So, Kirk Cousins, everybody's had their ups and downs with the Kirk Cousins experience. Josh Allen is clearly an MVP level candidate and, top 4, 5 quarterback in the league. Like, that's unquestionable. But I would say, definitely a hero ball type quarterback. And, the completion percentage was good. Let me double check what the completion percentage was this year. But we know that too has been up and down in the playoffs as well. So the really unfortunate thing for Diggs with all the complaining that he did is that he dropped a pass in the biggest moment of the playoffs for his team. And it's just kind of like,
That's
you can
true.
gripe about your quarterbacks all you want, but you yourself actually have to come through in big moments at some point. And this past season was the highest completion percentage he's had since 2020. It was 66%. He was 69%, shout out, in 2020.
Nice.
But I would say, he's 63% for his career, and that's probably brought up by those 2 seasons because he was 52, 58, 63, and 63 in the other ones. So the fact that he is with Stroud now, like, is Stroud the guy that can
Yeah.
finally appease Stefon Diggs? Like, that's the thing that I'm most curious about with this trade. Is Diggs finally the quarterback situation where he goes, hey, I'm kind of happy here. This guy's good.
There is a world where it could be. I mean, you look at where he's been. I mean, it was with Kirk Cousins, who we know is underperforming. And not underperforming, but he plays well. He's played actually really well this last year, but not someone who you can really trust to be a superstar. And then he played with Josh Allen, who we've heard from sources on this pod has shown to not really
That's
be,
that's right. Yeah,
in the
yeah.
gym that much in the offseason. So we know he's a little shaky himself. He has choked in big moments as well. Some very surprising losses. And so now he's going to Houston, where there's a rookie who is doing things no other rookie has ever done before. He's
Yeah.
playing at a really elite level. I mean, we saw the air yards, stuff like that. And so I think this was a smart move by the Texans that for a fifth rounder, they loan, Diggs. They're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
him. They have him at least a year. If he's, if he really fits, maybe they can see a way about getting him a deal. And if it doesn't, then he's off the books. He's gone and not any other issue. And it's for like a fifth rounder. And I know it may seem like they're losing that pick and stuff like that, but for the level that Diggs can get up to, of play in a season where the AFC quietly, sneakily looks kind of shaky. I mean, the Chiefs, I love them, but we're looking at our own shake. We got issues. We don't even know if we're gonna be in KC. There's a whole lot of
Well,
uproar. Like
you're
our
going to be in KC.
facilities
It's just
is
which side of the state.
absolute. Our I don't know. That's not what the Dallas mayor said. And then our
Oh,
facilities,
is
we're I don't know. We're throwing a party when we get new chairs. Like, oh my gosh, Kelsey's not gonna be better. Like, let's just say Chiefs ain't looking great. We just lost Snead.
wait,
And
I
then the
go
Bills, again, their own issue.
go back to
Bengals,
the
their defense was, in my opinion, shakers. So we'll see.
go back to the city thing real quick because I was reading something that said that it was more like the whatever. What side are you guys in right now? Are you in the Missouri or you're in the Kansas side? Whatever
Yeah, we're
side.
in the Missouri side, which has been a thorn in my side ever. I will be very,
Mm.
very glad if we get into the Kansas side.
So that's what I was reading
Being
is the
born on
Missouri
the
side was being
right
difficult
side.
and the Kansas side was trying to be like, hey, come on over here, we'll take
Yeah.
you guys. So but is there another
Yeah.
city that's involved as well?
No, I mean the Dallas mayor was saying they should come down. They're not actually
Oh,
thinking
okay,
about it, but
okay. I
it,
got you.
it's something we were saying for a piercing truth. But I don't know,
Oh,
like
oh,
that'd be crazy. We're gonna have. I mean, how much of a shot is that at the Cowboys to be like, oh, the second you can get another team, which the Chiefs, with right now the hottest team obviously in the league, but the second you can get rid of the Cowboys, you're like, oh yeah, come on down. Apparently America's team.
hmm. Would the city, if you could trade the teams, do you think there's a case that the city would do it where you actually get like you get the whole Cowboys thing in Kansas City? So you become the Kansas City Cowboys and then the Dallas Chiefs, and you get the whole organization, like the whole backstory history. So essentially, the most valuable franchise. Essentially, you're trading, Mahomes, the most valuable player for the Cowboys, the most valuable brand. What can we talk the Mariners into doing it?
Oh gosh. I mean, those championship parades got to bring in some revenue, so they're probably not gonna do it anytime soon. But
Let's see where the Chiefs are at right now for NFL values. So I
yeah, that
know,
is interesting. They got to be moving up, kind of like the Warriors did.
yeah, because I know the Patriots were up there for a while. The Bears are a big market. The Giants, obviously. This is
Yeah.
this was last summer, so August 2023. I don't know if they've done a more recent one, but the Chiefs would be currently sitting at. Oh, okay. Do you want to take an official guess?
At what place in the league? Like at a
So this
what?
was August 2023. So you guys hadn't won this past Super Bowl yet.
Oh, how much they're worth?
Yeah, do you want to guess where they rank in the league?
Oh, they rank. Let's go sixth.
23.
Golly, no one likes the Midwest, huh?
One spot behind the Indianapolis Colts.
That's a yikes. How are we less expensive? That can't be real.
As of August 2023, the Colts are worth $4.35 billion and the Chiefs are worth 4.3. The Cowboys, $9 billion.
Yeah, I know that one,
I
but
think the mayor would say,
I
call
see
it
what
in.
was you. That's crazy.
Does the brand value transfer? That's the question.
Oh, so is it based off? It looks like it was based off of Forbes.
Yeah.
I gotta see this with my own eyes. There's no shot.
And again, I don't know if
Yeah,
they've done
23. That's crazy.
I don't know if they've done the one for this year, but it's not like you're going to rock it up into the top 5 in 1 year. Don't think you're going to double
You
in value
can't tell
that
me
quick.
that
That's Mahomes' own
the
contract.
Washington Commanders. I mean, oh
Washington's
my
a
God,
big
he could
market.
buy his own team. Yes. Green Bay is stored friend. Tennessee Titans cannot be more
What's the most
expensive
defensive
than
one?
Chiefs. Get
Tennessee?
out of here. That's such a small. Yeah. I
Cleveland?
mean, I don't know how the Colts are ahead of us either. How are the Chargers behind us? That makes no sense.
Cleveland. Cleveland's 4.62.
That's crazy. Cleveland,
Cleveland's
this is
had
for you.
Cleveland's had that many quarterbacks in this span. And they're still
They
managed to
just
be
threw a
worth more than
million
Pat
for
Mahomes.
extra quarterback.
I bet that's
Yeah,
what it's
that's
felt like
that's
if you're a
wild.
Browns fan.
Anyway, but let's see here. But yeah, Stephon Diggs, Texans. Where do you have the Texans ranked now in your mind for the AFC? Like, if you got to rank quick fire, rank the AFC right now, where are they at? Who's
I've been
number
think
one?
I've been thinking about more about where I would put Stroud, but if I was going to rank the whole team, they've got Will Anderson back on his second year. Maybe I guess they didn't trade their second round
pick. Didn't they get Danielle Hunter?
Danielle Hunter? I forgot
Danielle
about
Hunter,
that too.
right?
Danielle Hunter's a stud.
Yeah.
I like that move too as well for him. I know they lost Greenard on that, but Hunter had like 17 and a half sacks like last year. Like, come on, just take a swing, pay a guy. I mean, the thing is, Kansas City still has to be number one. Joe Burrow's going to be back healthy, potentially. You know, the Bengals
though?
looking feisty. All the guys, you know, the defensive line guys are still back for at least one more. I think Henderson has at least one more year on his contract.
Henderson, I don't know.
So as long as as long as he's still there, maybe they find some. You're right. The secondary,
like him so much.
Secondary, if they're actually going to try to win the AFC, beat the Chiefs, win the Super Bowl, they're going to need some secondary help. But
is it Apple there still?
Eli Apple? No, he's gone.
Yeah. Okay, they got.
I don't even know if he's on a team at this point, but ask the baby mama because she's always keeping an eye on hunting.
I think he took too many bites of the apple. See what I did there?
Honestly,
he's a free agent.
Because the thing is, the Texans have Stingley, so Stingley might be that Texans defense might be better than that Bengals defense. I don't know.
I think it is. I mean, but that offense though did take them to a Super Bowl, so we know they at least have a Super Bowl level offense.
That's fair.
You know, I could see the argument for having them above the Texans.
And I don't even know.
That's about it. I'm not accepting any other answers.
But
anyone else?
How much of a needle moving move is this for the Texans? Like, it feels like it definitely shores them up, but it feels like if you're ranking them that high, again, it's because of these other pieces that are already in place. Stroud, you know, like we said, Will Anderson on defense, the free agency move they made with Hunter. So I think it's already all like pretty solid. Like, so that's what we're saying. I think this is going to be a interesting situation to walk into Diggs. I mean, we can't underestimate the Ravens. Lamar is still there. Kyle Hamilton and Matabuke, like the core is still in place.
Didn't they lose some on the defensive line? McDonald, he's gone, right?
They lost their coordinator. They lost, Geno Stone left.
That's the coordinator. Yeah, he's not the D-line, yeah.
I'm trying to think if they've lost any other guys. None that I can remember off the top, but.
Yeah, I'm just kind of out on the Ravens and Lamar. Like, last year was the team. That was everything. And to fall apart like that in the playoffs, to the Chiefs. I mean, thank God they did, but
I don't know. Do we? I mean, how far away are the Colts from all this? They're close.
Oh my gosh! Get out of here! Get out of here with that. I think with CJ Stroud, with Diggs, I'd put him. I think I'd put him like right there with the Ravens. I get why some people would have the Ravens over him. And, you know, of course, they got Derrick Henry, but like,
they added Henry.
Like, almost nothing last year. I think he was pretty.
He was still a Pro Bowler.
I think the Ravens team is definitely more developed. They've been together longer, so I would put them still above the Texans. So I guess there is one team I'd let in, but that's about it. The door is closed. Like, and it might be almost in the whole league. Like, obviously, 49ers. You know, one or two teams in the NFC, but I mean, getting an established guy like Diggs just puts you in a legit contender mode. It's tough. I mean, because there's at least one superstar player in the skill positions. And like Tank Dell played well last year. I mean, their wide receiving core actually did decent.
Tank Dell was going to win people their fantasy leagues.
Yeah. Also, shout out to South Carolina beating North Carolina State.
It's in the books.
78-59. South Carolina will be in the national championship for the third time in a row.
Yikes.
Advances to the third national championship game. I don't know if that's third time in a row. I know at least twice. They were there last year, I believe, right? Or no. They weren't. They got knocked out. Yeah, it can't be third time in a row. So it was Iowa LSU.
So again, I know Caitlin Clark is the big storyline. We already said we're cheering for Caitlin Clark. So just anything we say, just keep that in mind. We're just, hitting it, trying to discuss everything just from all angles. Guys. But what is, just talking about it. What is, Caitlin Clark, Dawn Staley, that's versus South Carolina, the best player versus the best team. Tremendous storyline. But Dawn Staley versus Gino, the coach battle. Is Dawn Staley going to take his belt? Like we were saying, the 37-0. Gino won 100 games in a row at UConn at one point, which is, after watching this South Carolina thing, after watching the back-to-back years too, where they're basically, 60+1 the last couple of years. Like, I don't know, that's a fun potential matchup as well too.
That's super. Yeah, but I mean, at least Gino has the excuse of what we double checked to make sure. The 6 season entering injuries for a team. I mean, that's over a third of your team, right? If you have 15 on a roster. I don't know if there's a little fluctuation in terms of how many you can have for women's basketball, but somewhere there. But, a third or more of your roster having season ending injuries might have, might be a pretty big asterisk in your career book. But
it's not even Blazers style. It's not even like Blazers tanking, shutting guys down. Like, people are actually getting hurt. It's unfortunate.
They want to win, obviously. Like they're in the Final Four. Like,
people are laying their careers out on the line for this title run.
No, for real.
Somehow they managed to escape the two best players. So Beckers managed to stay healthy. Aaliyah Edwards managed to stay healthy as well.
All right, I want to welcome on the show our college basketball expert, Alli, who was pretty much educating us even before we got on about the coach who is confirmed to be in this year's NCAA Women's Championship again, 3 out of 4 years, Dawn Staley. I guess I'll just ask you, Alli, could you give us a little bit about Dawn? 36-0 or 37-0 with his last game. Yeah. But you say like her excellence is more than coaching. A lot.
Yeah. So Dawn is literally I would argue, the greatest basketball player and most awarded basketball player on the earth as it relates to basketball attainment. So everything in her career and life she has achieved that you could possibly achieve. She's won the Naaman Heisman Coach of the Year award 3 out of the last 4 years. She's won it as a player 2 of her last 3 years in the tournament that she led, the teams that she was leading. She has won in I think she went to multiple Olympics and has won gold medal at every women's basketball event. One at the high school level. I just think that if you're looking at somebody, no one in the history of basketball has won a Player of the Year award and a Coach of the Year award in college basketball. So to me, and like I said, controversial take, but I think she is the most decorated and most winningest, still with the highest ceiling left to break every record and smash every record possible for all things basketball attainment.
So looking back,
if you haven't I was just gonna say, if you guys don't have a reason yet to watch that final on Monday night, tune in now that South Carolina will. I think we're waiting on the results of tonight, Iowa versus UConn, or in the next couple minutes or so. So if we get Caitlin Clark versus an undefeated South Carolina, that might break a lot of viewership records from a basketball final.
Yeah, for sure.
Records that are already, breaking as well too. The viewership numbers were amazing for the Iowa LSU game, but Dawn Staley, two-time Naismith Player of the Year award winner. Like you said, the multiple Coach of the Years. And then I was looking up some of the Olympics as well, too. So you got 3 Olympic gold medals, 96, 2000, 04. Throw 2 gold medal World Cups on there as well, too. So I don't know. Is it her and Jerry West? Because Jerry West, was has the long executive career as well, too, to balance it out. So maybe those are the 2 guys that get underlooked when we talk like the total basketball package when you're building the whole resumes together. Because it's not like MJ has the ownership part of his career to fall back on.
Nope. And I would say too, if you're looking at like total rings, like I said, Dawn Staley's her ceiling, she's not even like the prime of her earning career yet, let alone her winning championships height. So I would not be surprised if she becomes the most winningest person, period, and decorated person in the sport of basketball ever by the time that her career is completely done. And I would say Coach Phil Jackson, I think, is the only one maybe close. Like Phil Jackson and Bill Russell have about, and then like 10 to 11 to 12 rings, with Tom Brady coming in at, second.
Yeah.
And I think Sue Bird has something to say about Tom's rings. So it might be Miss Staley, the shortest of them all, the feistiest of them all, that comes out on top over here. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe if Steve Kerr finds a new team, he could get close, getting those rings with MJ. I think, Bay Area. I don't know. Of course, being in the Bay, I got to shout him out. But looking at Staley's career as well, something that might also get overlooked is she did coach a gold-winning team, and then she actually coached Temple University Owls women's basketball team while she was playing in the WNBA. She played until 2006, and she started coaching that team in 2000. And in those 8 years, she took them to 6 tournaments, won 3 regular season conference championship, 4 conference titles. So she was leading teams, college teams, to winning while still in the NBA. No one else is doing that. It's just flat out no one. I don't think ever has done that. I don't think that's a hot take to say.
I don't think it'll ever be repeated in our lifetime either. And I think that we are watching greatness unfold. And the final. Oh my goodness! If it's Caitlin Clark in Iowa versus South Carolina, I predict that's gonna hit about 20 million views. And if so, that would definitely top the men's record and really put women's basketball on just a beautiful trajectory moving forward. So, shout out to Paige, shout out to Juju Watkins, shout out to Caitlin Clark. And what I love about South Carolina is you don't really hear about a star player on South Carolina, and yet they are somehow always in this championship game. So, just highlighting that South Carolina versus Caitlin Clark. I think the world wants to see that, but we'll see see if Caitlin can pull that out for tonight's game, and that's kicking off in a few minutes.
And I know we were talking a little bit about this too before you jumped on, but even if and like we said, we'll know the results by the time this drops. But if it is South Carolina UConn, I think the Gina versus Dawn Staley storyline as well too, where the dominant run, like you're saying, that she's pulled together here the last couple of years, is she kind of coming for his corner as the best coach in college basketball? But like you said, we were looking at this Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers matchup. And I know you were saying a little bit last week that, if we were on the pickup court, you would take Juju Watkins. Has Paige Beckers entered that conversation as well? Would you just take Juju Watkins over all these girls? I mean, Paige was the one that took you guys down last week.
Listen, I love Paige, and Paige is my favorite comeback story of the century here, because she had that ACL injury that took her junior year all the way out of contention. Was quiet, was mute, and came back with a vengeance. And I just, as the coach of UConn knows what he had. I think he was saying, someone was mentioning when Paige was a middle schooler, they were like, I think it was her middle school basketball coach was like, this is Diana Taurasi times 3,000. She is the future of the league. However, we are in the era of Juju Watkins, who just smashed everyone's scoring record as a freshman at 18 years old, you guys. So yes, Paige has right now, and I would love to see Paige get a ring to end her story because that would be an awesome exit on her way to a WNBA franchise. But Juju Watkins, y'all, she's nominated for Naismith Player of the Year award. She is 18 years old. She was born to play basketball, and she's got everyone, everyone from all around different industries, different sports, different entertainment sectors tapping in. She's also the first high school athlete to earn a Nike deal with her NIL package,
Mm.
and she's the high school women's athlete ever to be signed by Clutch Sports. So she's managed by the same management group as everyone else on Clutch Sports. So
Yeah.
when I say Juju Watkins is going to elevate the entire brand of women's basketball, I equate it to what I would have imagined Gigi Bryant would have done if she was still here. Because that was
Mm.
Gigi's goal. So it's really like incredible to see kind of how the young women playing right now are honoring the Bryant family and the Bryant mission of elevating women's basketball on the main stage. But yeah, Juju's still over Paige. Although Paige is so sick, like she's just so
Yeah.
smooth with it. She's just grown up, she's evolved, she's silky smooth, she knows what she's doing. But yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta go with Juju because that height, that balance, the way that she like creates off the shot, she's literally like when she gets it rolling, she's unguardable.
And I know,
Already fourth. Oh, sorry. I was about to mention also already fourth all time in Pac-12 basketball scoring. So
mm,
just already as a 1 year in the Pac-12.
R.I.P. to the Pac-12.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And of course they were the last team standing. I love that. I love that for USC. And speaking of USC, they're going through quite an interesting transition right now on the men's basketball side.
mm-hmm.
Andy and Phil left for the SMU coaching spot. They're bringing in the new head coach from Arkansas. Personally, I am biased as an alum of SC. However, I'm excited to see what our new coach from Arkansas will do to really ignite the program. I'm really looking forward to hopefully maintaining a really great stranglehold in like turn representation, especially prepare for that Big Ten transition. And our boy Bronny James, who
Mm-hmm.
many thought was going to be the freshman to watch at SC before Juju stole everyone's Juju, pun
Yeah.
intended, is now, I guess, declaring for the NBA draft and also potentially not, and also
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the portal, but also could come back. It's very unclear. So we should see. We're gonna see how that shakes out in the next couple of weeks.
Can we detour quickly? Do you have thoughts on the Bronny James
Yeah.
experience? Because I know, like you said, he did come in with a lot of hype. He was like a top 30 recruit as well, too.
Yeah. So here's my take. So Bronny, he had a heart issue. Like the man almost died.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking a serious
Yeah.
health issue, like real heart. So that derailed all of his development for this season and this year. And I literally like don't even count this year as like a
100%.
real showing for him.
Mm.
However, I will say I want him to stay at SC. The reason I don't think that he is necessarily ready yet for that NBA jump because he didn't get the proper development and being out for so long with the heart condition. I think though that he's going to transfer and go to oh gosh, what is the name of the school? I can't even say it. Dualesk is the name of the school.
Oh.
So
Were
it's
they in the
a
tournament this
small,
year?
They were, and
Duquesne?
Bronny's high. Yes, Duquesne. Thank you. And
Mm.
LeBron James' high school teammate,
His
Coach Drew
coach, right?
Joyce. Yeah, is now the coach there. So I would be
Okay.
be on the lookout for a transfer to that school. I want him to come back to SC, but I don't think he's coming back to SC, and I don't think the new coach and regime is too upset about that either, because I don't think that he fits the mold of what they're trying to build over from the Arkansas timeline and the way the style to play either. So I really do wish Bronny the best. He's a Trojan for life, as Trojans always say. So wish him really great health. But yeah, I mean, if he joins in the NBA, if he gets drafted, I think he has until, is it May? Yeah, May 29th or like the NBA draft evaluation. So if he passes the physicals and gets a good seating, like he could go in I think the second round.
Okay.
But at least his dad got out the way by saying like, Bronny's his own man. Because I know the narrative earlier in the year was like, LeBron wants to play with his son and like wants to retire after that. Now I think he's at least like looking into the realistic lens of that and noticing that might not be the son that he ends up playing with. But watch out for Bryce. Who
This is
knows?
this is a very, very pro Bryce pod. I have very much been on the Bryce train. I'm very excited for him. I cannot.
Ooh,
I
Bryce
cannot wait.
Bryce is the one. Bryce is the one. I feel like
Yes.
it's always the little brother in basketball families are always
Yep.
the ones to watch out for, like the Ball family.
Mhm.
Come on, like
MJ
we
was
got
the
a good
younger
track
brother.
record here. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I think we got some good things can result here, and I'm excited for Bryce, and I just love that he keeps growing. Like every time I see him, he's like shot
Yeah.
up 2
Yeah.
inches. So I love that for him.
No, and he looks like he has like that frame, that body that can build more muscle. No, we're really
I will
excited.
say Bronny doesn't like
Yeah.
the frame. He does not have an NBA. Like I don't know if Bronny's ceiling is the same as Bryce. Like Bryce's
Yes.
ceiling seems to be kind of big compared to Big Bro. So
Yeah, we'll have to see. But the Iowa UConn game is about to start in 9 minutes. So let's get the predictions really quick out the way. Allie, who do you see? I mean, we were talking a little bit about it before you came on here. UConn facing the most, or Gino facing the most in season-ending injuries ever in a season with 6, which
what
I
a
can't even
story!
imagine.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's
what a
crazy.
turnaround.
Still in the Final Four. So uphill battle for UConn. But is there any way they could pull the upset? I mean, Paige's defense on Juju looked really good last game.
No, and I wish Gino well. He had a great season, great run for that UConn team. Um, Caitlin is coming for her championship to close out her collegiate career, and I wish everyone well on her mitts to get that ring before she turns pro. And yeah, unfortunately, Gina will not be winning tonight. But Paige and Caitlin will continue to battle it out on a WNBA court next season. But yeah, I see Caitlin reigning victorious tonight, and if so, yay for basketball because that final again, I predict 20 million views, which I have some stats. The LSU Iowa rematch,
Oh
16
yeah.
million views, which was more than every World Series game played in 2023, which topped 4 out of the 5 games of the 23 NBA Finals, beats the 12.1 million views for the Masters, and beat only 5 college football games that had a higher viewership rating. So
Wow.
that's 2 million. So I'm thinking Caitlin versus South Carolina. Yeah, I think we can get 20.
And Sam,
I very much do. Yeah, what were you saying?
oh, I was going to say, Sam, you mentioned the defense that Paige had played on Juju Watkins. And again, I understand big picture Watkins is as good of a prospect as any of these girls, but just for like more immediate WNBA stuff, like I think Paige had said that she was going to go back to UConn potentially for one more year. So she might be in next year's WNBA draft. So I think you'll have, in a couple of years, though, you'll have her and Caitlin Clark both in the league. But Caitlin Clark right now is the projected, I mean, she's a lock for number 1 overall, but how do you see her translating year 1 and then like bigger picture as well, too? Because the WNBA draft is in like 10 days, less than 10 days.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the downtime between like the end of the tournament and the WNBA draft is like a week.
Yeah.
But it's I see her projecting just incredibly well for any WNBA franchise that she gets drafted to, hopefully she'll get drafted #1 overall. And what I love about her game that's so translatable is like she just gets buckets. Like never underestimate like development over time of who she had to play against when she was a kid. Like her family has been so invested in her development as an athlete to make sure that she could like play against anyone, any style, men, women, you name it. And I see her game like translating to any team, fitting in any style. She's also just a super coachable person too, and like that attitude and that charisma and that confidence that she literally highlights and brings for every single one of her teammates. Like that's what I love about this season compared to last season is we're really seeing like not just Caitlin continue to rise, but we're really seeing the impact that she has on instilling confidence in her teammates, like on no matter what happens on the court. And so like I think that's going to translate really well at the WNBA level. I mean, she's man, I can't wait to see her, you know, do her thing.
Mhm.
Do her thing. She loves it's fun to watch her play and I love watching like Steph Curry play and honestly the way that their style of play is so similar to me. Not the shooting or the style of shooting or the threes per se, but it's the confidence and the attitude of which she approaches the game is just like really admirable to watch.
And if this pretty much Final Four national championship ends up being pretty much a coronation ceremony for Caitlin Clark with these high numbers of views, is there a path where Caitlin Clark could potentially elevate the WNBA similar to, I hate to throw in names, put on pressure, but she is the D1 all-time leading scorer. So names similar to the way Jordan took that NBA to another level, being a superstar. And, maybe who knows if Caitlin Clark is able to separate herself as the GOAT eventually. But culturally, with the Jordan brand, with stuff like that, is there a way that Caitlin Clark, gaining all this momentum from college and taking it into the WNBA could really take the women's basketball sport to another level and of exposure and actually keep it there instead of it just being so focused on just her?
The answer to that is absolutely yes. I think what we're seeing is just a talent that transcends. And when a transcending talent enters a league of any sport and profession, it always elevates that entire sport. Like you said, like when MJ entered the NBA. The NBA was like literally y'all like a flailing league in the 70s. Like the
Mhm.
NBA of the 70s very different from the NBA that Michael Jordan entered. And I think the WNBA, like if we're looking at it from the context of history, you have to remember the WNBA is still under 30.
Yeah.
Like the NBA did not get kicked off really, really until 40 years of its existence as well. So I think that we're getting to that point where that is going to be within reason. And I'm like so excited to see Caitlin be a part of that. But also like shout out to all the incredible women that have been a part of that foundation, have been building that for since the inception of that 1997 basket drop, like the Lisa Leslie's, the Cheryl Coopers,
Mhm.
excuse me, the Cynthia Coopers, the Lobos, like, all these women are just such like foundational pieces to this, including Dawn Staley. And so like I I cannot wait to see that happen in our lifetime. And I think it's honestly very possible within the next like 5 to 6 years that the WNBA will really just be like must watch TV because it's great basketball, period. And as a young girl that grew up playing basketball, that's all I ever wanted for the WNBA. And I always had to look at it from a context of comparison and league and time. It takes time for things to really figure it out, edge and flow, and also for the talent to bring that transcendent level of talent that continues to rise and bring and elevate the game. And we're seeing that with Caitlin. We're seeing that with Paige. We're seeing that with Angel Reese and the LSU squad. We're seeing that with Juju. And we're gonna keep seeing that. And y'all, what was crazy was like Gigi Bryant would have been what, like 18 right now? Could you
Hmm.
imagine Gigi going into college right now next season with freaking
25 a game?
Juju? Like, like what? Right? So I really do feel like this is what Gigi is orchestrating anyway. And shout out to the Bryant family, the Bryant legacy, and I'm so excited to see what happens next for the history of women's basketball.
Yeah, I think
real
she
quick before you
potentially
go,
would have been a freshman.
Yeah,
some ticket sales stats right now. The game for Iowa against this game is the second highest. Number one most expensive ticket for women's basketball was Caitlin Clark's senior day. So, just new levels.
And the game's getting ready to tip right now as well, too.
Yeah, like I know that was it opening tickets for our USC football tickets are like significantly cheaper than what this championship is. Also, let's go, man. It's gonna be a good night. From the men's side, love what they're doing. This is not as fun of a tournament to watch. I can't even hold. I will make a pick. I will make a prediction.
Oh,
for men's. Yeah. So
is it going to be UConn?
No, I think Alabama is actually surprise.
Wow.
I actually was able to watch them play against North Carolina. When they get hot, they get hot, and they have defense. So like,
That's true.
I actually think they match up really well with Purdue.
I agree.
So look out! Like I'm not even joking. Like Alabama might be a basketball school now. So yeah,
I think they've been my favorite team to watch in the tournament.
Yeah, they've been fun to watch. They've been like consistent, and they've found like different ways to win every game.
Yeah,
and like look out for those teams that figure out all the different ways they can win when it comes down to that Final Four. And I think Alabama has as good a shot as any. And I'm excited to see, to see how the men finish it out. Hopefully they'll get some good views. Like I said, women's viewership will put them in.
It's okay. It's time.
Let's go, man.
Hey, I mean, that's where the talent's at. Like we said, we can't even deny it.
There you go. All right, we can't. We had the all-time lead score on, one game, and then the other one we have, NC State against Purdue. But I mean, you do. I mean, I think UConn. That's a pretty bold take, considering that UConn. I think their closest game was their last one, winning by 25 points. I mean, they've been kind of dumpstering every team they've played so far. As the repeat champions, they've been better than they were last year with the target on their back. So what from them have you seen as a weakness? Because so far it seems like they don't have one. What have you seen as their weakness to really get beaten by Alabama?
So I think that we got to look out for the 3-point defense. So I think that Alabama actually has been defending the 3-point shot. Just like very solidly during this tournament run, and like out rebounding too. I mean, it's been surprising for me to say this too. I love college football. Alabama has been an incredible football school, but like they have a squad that can go deep with anybody on that court, especially in this Final Four bracket. But UConn is favored, but like this has been the wildest men's tournament ever. And so I'm just going to pick the unexpected because that's what's been happening this whole tourney for the men anyway. So yeah, I'm going Alabama. I'm going Alabama for the championship.
All right.
And people forget as well, too, because they got bounced early last year, but they were number one in the AP poll going into the tournament. So like you're saying, Nate Oates is kind of turning the program around. I mean, he has to be the best coach on campus now with Saban gone, but I do think that I do think that Grant Nelson could be an interesting big to go against Klingon, because they haven't really had to face another dominant big like that, or even, I would say, they just haven't had that matchup in the tournament so far. And I know Nelson's not like a big, more of a 4 that can play the 5, but his footwork, I think Alabama's a tough matchup for him. And I don't know if it's going to be tough to pick against this UConn team, but that is going to be a fun game. I think that game's going to be close.
Like, trust me, everything Emmy says, logic would have me pick UConn, but like watching Alabama actually play during this tourney, I just love their style of play. They've been for watch, and then once they get hot, oh my gosh, when they were like outscored by like 16 or something in the first half versus Clemson, and then they're like the Lakers this year. Like once they get hot from three, it's somehow a wrap. Like
Hmm.
their 3-point shooting is crazy. Like what other team has a three range that Alabama does? So that's where I just think that on any given night, if they're filing on all cylinders, which is a big if, because obviously UConn has been doing that all season. Yeah, I feel something strange rumbling in the air, and yeah, I think they have a shot.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Alabama hits 11.2 3-pointers per game, second most in college basketball. So yeah, we'll see. They are a physical team, and yeah, I don't know. It's just UConn's been going crazy. We'll see. But do you have any thoughts about the other side of the bracket? Purdue, NC State, two big guys in the paint. I mean, I think people are really excited for that one.
I love an old school big battle. So this is it's fun. It's like it's exciting for centers. Okay, let the centers get some love. Okay, I think the center position has made such a fun comeback in men's basketball in general. With the rookie of the year on the Spurs team right now, and just that center position is back in here to stay. Like it's pretty cool to see, and shout out to the big guys. It's gonna be fun to watch them square off against each other. I think one is a better defender and one is a better offensive player. And
Hmm.
I think that makes for a good matchup between those two styles of play. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
Do you think Edie can play in the NBA? I saw
Yes,
him projected as a lottery pick this week.
What?
yeah, 1 billion%. I think he at least is going top five.
Oh, are the Spurs going to take him and
Top
put him next to Wemby?
five. What?
Have you heard of the Spurs? Do you know what they do? Yes, they would love that. That's what they do.
Is that the new
They
David
develop,
Robinson and Tim Duncan on steroids?
like I said, the centers are back in action. The Spurs are back with the center dominance. Who knows? Okay, that would be a great 1-2 punch for next season, though. I would,
Oh my
I
goodness.
would love it.
All right. Well, Allie, thank you so much for coming on the pod. We'll let you watch what may be the most exciting women's basketball game so far this year. Iowa down right now, 13-5. So we'll see. We'll see. It's going back and forth. But thank you so much for jumping on, and we'll have to see if we can get you back on here soon. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Have a great night. See y'all soon. Bye.
Shout out to Allie for coming on the pod again. We did maybe kept her a little long, but it was all good stuff.
It happens.
And
sorry, Allie, our bad.
yeah, we talked about our bad, but thank you for joining again. We are right now live watching the Iowa game. I don't know, Rem, you worried at all? UConn, I got to give it to Gino. There's a reason this man won 100 games in a row, coached 100 games in a row, and won, because this lockdown defense on Iowa, I mean, it's probably not the first time that everyone that decided to do the box and one defense pretty much. But I don't know, the 11 time Gino didn't win 11 champions for nothing. That's all I'm saying.
And I know, like we're saying, that they have had a lot of injuries, but they might have the two best players in the game is strong, but two of the three best players between Beckers and Edwards, both on the team. So, they still got strong hands to run the offense. The bench players have been, I guess they're not bench players if they've been playing for a while at this point in the season, but everybody seems to be holding up right now. So I don't know, Sam, Iowa's down right now. You're hot. Would Paige Beckers, is she going to have a better WNBA career than Caitlin Clark?
No, I'm telling you right now, no. But what UConn does have is that size. And that's the thing when you have old, blue blood team, a team that even Caitlin Clark said she wanted to be on if they actually picked up the phone and called her. Looking at you, Gino, what could have been for UConn. They have that size, and they're using that size on Caitlin. Like, I'm watching the highlights right now, the montage of the first quarter. Like, they're just all over her, and they don't care. Like, they're staying to her like glue. They're huge. They're tall. Like, they're about her height. And, Iowa has a little bit, obviously, like we mentioned, it's a very skilled team, but, doesn't have, I guess looking, I don't know if they have 5 stars like that on in women's basketball. But, you know, they don't have all 5 stars like UConn has, even with those injuries that UConn has. You know, it's the depth that matters. So we'll see. I mean, Clark can do whatever she wants if she gets hot. You know, so far it hasn't been great, but I'm very excited to watch this just because of the length of UConn, and I think there's a chance they could really pull this off. I mean, they just started the second quarter with a Caitlin Clark turnover that they created,
and they just put up a stat as well too that said that Iowa's actually doing well when they get the ball into the paint, and really the only thing they're struggling with right now is the outside shooting. So, and they just gave up a layup to Edwards as UConn continues to cut. But does this kind of show the state that, like we're saying, that the women's sport is in right now? If we don't get this Caitlin Clark, you know, South Carolina heavyweight matchup in the final, the fact that we're again still getting a heavyweight matchup, there's still plenty of talent in the league to go around. The fact that if Caitlin Clark doesn't end up advancing here, UConn, South Carolina, that's an insane matchup. And I don't, you know, Alli was saying 20 mil for Iowa, South Carolina. I could definitely see it getting up there, but you know, I don't know what her projections would be for a UConn South Carolina game, but I still think for what the tournament had been this year, I wouldn't be crazy. That could still top the men, right? That game.
Yeah, it definitely could. When you have on one side a team like UConn that's really playing like a team, you can see them really moving the ball, 8 made shots on 8 assists.
Yeah.
And on they're cooking. And then you look on the other side, South Carolina, and what we all mentioned, you know, and Don Staley and the history and all that. And that's the thing that we mentioned with the men's side is that with all these longtime coaches out, you know, Coach K, and, you know, the original one, Roy Williams, you know, all these guys out. You have players going out after the first season. I mean, even the Zion phase, that was 1 year. Like, imagine if Zion was in college for 3 years. You know, even with Cooper Flagg and this whole team, that's not going to last more than a year. And so when they even have players who could be potentially all-time greats, they don't stick around long enough to put up records, to have that prestige and really gain that momentum that players like Caitlin Clark, that Paige Bueckers, that you know, we've seen around women's basketball. And there has been greatness like this, you know, looking at UConn beforehand, but you know, there was a good time there where, you know, UConn just kind of squelched any competition, to be honest. And, you know, maybe there were some close games in there, but, you know, those 11 championships definitely, in my opinion, maybe hurt the sport a little bit. I mean, it was a little bit tough to watch because when you know what the end result is, but now that they have all these players around the area, when you look at the different teams, you know, and, you know, who knows, maybe does Caitlin Clark. That's one of the interesting arguments I love within sports is when a player who ends up on a, you know, not as great team really shines because they get all that usage and stuff. And it's the same thing with Caitlin Clark. Like, would she be the person she is if she was on UConn? Because she probably wouldn't get as much usage. You know, would she be allowed to really play her game like she can play now? I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Right now I haven't hit her see it. Yeah, she hasn't made a shot since the end of the first quarter. So I don't know. It's a rough night to be making the point about Caitlin Clark.
And they're still only down by 7. Stokey's got the ball in the post right now with a chance to cut it to 5. But everybody keeps making well, I think Clark might have just turned it over again almost. But everybody keeps making the Steph Curry comparisons because of the shooting. But if we're making, you know, because I don't, you know, the two of us, I don't know if we can necessarily make a knowledgeable WNBA comparison to her game, but does she feel a little more like Luka than Steph with the way she plays?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen her much of a mid-range as Iowa commits another turnover.
That's fair. Luka's got that whole mid-range post stuff.
Yeah. The only reason why I keep bringing up all these turnovers is that they're creating them. Like, I was not giving the ball. Anyway, but yeah, I think, Luka, you don't see him. He gets physical. Like, he'll clear out. He'll get, like, he wants that person. He wants to, you know, I know you're going to say pause, but he wants to field the defender. He wants to body them. And but Caitlin does come, she does give him a lot of space. I would say more like Trae Young. I
I
think
was
a
gonna say she's
better,
not Trae Young though.
yeah, I'd put more Trae Young, honestly, but like bigger compared to the other people in her sport. I'd say Trae Young when you consider, she probably puts up way more stats, but Trae Young did have 30 and 10 in college. I mean, who knows if he played actually all 4 years, what would have happened? Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, if I had to pick one player, and we've seen her defense can be shaky sometimes. She's tired now. Again, like we mentioned, she's not super small, so it's not like she's the size is an issue like Trae Young, but the defense, the effort on defense, I don't know. She's getting kind of exposed right now. I think
Hmm.
Trae Young might be the perfect one
The
when
thing
you think
is,
of the space from the 3-point line.
I get what you're saying with the offensive game. The thing is, like, compared, like in the league, she's a big guard. She's gonna in the draft, she's gonna be a big guard. She's like,
Yeah.
I think 6'3". So again, Trae Young, the struggles aren't necessarily, it's size related, pause, not necessarily, effort related. Versus where if Caitlin Clark just locks in at times, she could probably be a pretty above average defender. Like, is she Cam Thomas?
Yeah. But Trae Young doesn't try on defense.
No, but I mean, the thing is, you're going to switch everything on to Trae Young anyways.
Yeah.
It's going to be brutal. Terry
But like
Rozier?
their layup form too, like the way they do layups, I think it's pretty similar. Like
He's got
neither of them really shoot mid range. I don't know.
Cade? She Cade? Cade
Again,
Cunningham?
Kate is similar to Luca. Like
Yeah,
he'll do that slow, like herky jerky. Like Caitlin and Trey rely on speed a lot. Like they'll just go right past you. They're more tend to be a bit more shifty than really trying to use their body. And they both take deeper threes than they really need to. I think they take a couple more steps behind the 3-point line. That they make their shots tougher than they need to be. Which when it hits, it's crazy. A la the run that the Hawks went. And it's worked out for Caitlin Clark. She has the talent to match her shooting. But when you see like Caitlin's 3-point shot, like it doesn't have to be that hard. Like you see her form, like her shooting makes it tougher than it needs to be.
And, the thing is, too, like, Trae Young is still in that Luka vein of players of like what it's going to do to your offense, where the player is just going to, have the ball all the time. It's that pick and roll. Like, if she's going to go into the WNBA and they're doing like some kind of NBA type stuff there, like it would just be pick and roll, spacing, shooter, spread the floor. And then, she's just going to make decisions on who, pass, shoot, whatever. So I think, her in the WNBA with if she goes number one, it's, the Fever. They have Aaliyah Boston there is big. So I think there's some interesting pick and roll stuff with her in Boston that they could potentially do. But I mean, yeah, obviously not a good night tonight. But like we said, too, she's going to have Paige Beckers guarding her, who was doing a amazing job of guarding Juju Watkins last week. And I know Juju Watkins is a freshman. So some of the experience stuff of getting your shot off, maybe Caitlin Clark has that advantage. But again, Beckers is still a really good defender. And like you've also been saying, they're doing an amazing job of on-ball pressure right now. So I don't even know if this
I
is
love this on-ball pressure. I love watching this so much. What do you say? Sorry.
Is this even like a bad Caitlin Clark game? Like I get the number is bad, but it's just like this is just like a menacing defensive UConn game.
Well, they're not like I think they need to figure out some high screen, high pick and rolls. Like we got to figure out some shout out to the NBA. Like there are ways to beat
space the floor.
A hedge. Like we kind of got to figure this out. Like,
get
we've
Schulte
been doing
up there.
this.
Come on.
I know. Like we need to get some Schultz up there. If you're gonna, but the smoothness that UConn has, and that's another thing that I have noticed, especially with Iowa, when you have a big, number one player like Caitlin, who, isn't quite used to being off ball, is that when they get through their sets, it's not as snappy, and you look at UConn coming down with the ball, they're very snappy through their sets. You can see they're very quick. They're like, it's almost a professional team kind of speed, but it's because they don't have the D1, number one player, scoring player. And also, I feel, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, right now we're just dumping on Caitlin when she's down. Even though Paige is going crazy.
I know. Caitlin Clark is fully in the sports media now.
Exactly.
She's going to get
Caitlin. What does this mean for Caitlin Clark's legacy?
I know. What are going to be the storylines this weekend on First Take? Do you want to guess what Stephen A's take is going to be on the Caitlin Clark performance?
Caitlin Clark, the most selfish player in college. I don't know. Is that when you know you really made it? When people talk smack?
Cameron Brink, number one.
But this is like past half court kind of thing. Like, I'm going to be in your jersey all night long.
The thing is, if it's single digits by half, it's going to be fine.